Hey guys, thanks for coming out a little early. Sorry about the switch around. Got to catch a plane. So, badge hunt. I want to start off before I get into anything much, to say huge thank you to Mike Jones and Allison McKinney and all the people who made Creative South a reality. I mean, come on, like the price compared to like the How conference or something like that. This is crazy. I mean, like give those guys a hand. It's freaking awesome. No, it's nuts. Thank you to anybody out there who reads my blog. Mega cool of you. That always blows me away when I see like how many people clicked on it. I'm just like, that's nuts, man. And last but not least, anyone who has no idea who the hell I am, but they're like, maybe he'll be as cool as that last speaker. I heard that guy Draplin last year. Maybe this guy will be halfway good. I'll try and make it decent. All right. So over the next hour-ish, I'm gonna be talking about my journey, including like all the victories and all like the pretty rosy pictures and all that. But I'm gonna talk about the ugly stuff too, because that's what you guys want to hear. You guys don't want to hear like just like this perfect like here's my resume, like I'm trying out for some job or something like that. I'm gonna tell you the whole story and all the messy stuff that happened, and I'm gonna show a whole hell of a lot of pretty pictures. So 18 things that sum me up. This guy right here, hands down, most important thing in my life, lifted me up in some tough times. This poster right here is by my buddy Brent Gale, Jesus on a Bicycle. You can't go wrong with that, right? Designer, born to do this, like totally obsessed. Ask my wife, drives her crazy. I can't go shopping without me. Like she's like, can you look at this and quit looking at those signs? Minneapolis, Minnesota, born and raised, awesome design community. Like the art culture is great. There's so many agencies that when I graduated, I was like, there's gonna be like 5 shops to work at. It's gonna be like impossible to get a gig. And there's seriously like a couple hundred agencies in Minneapolis, and super eco hippie friendly. Lots of bike riders. It's good, man. It's my wife, my inspiration, Maria. And next to her there is our boys. Best damn things we ever made. And conveniently in a Target cart there. Yep. Hey, buying some pillows apparently. And family. They're the reason why we're still in Minnesota, hands down. Just like we love it there, but there's a couple months out of the year where you're like, maybe we should move. But we stay there, and we stay there for these people. We got these 2 little boys, and they love seeing their grandparents. I'm an ACD at Target. I love it. The brand, what makes it special to me so much is it demands good design. Like it's not going out the door unless it's polished and has a good idea and it looks great. I love drawing. Been loving drawing since I was about 4 years old. And I always wanted to figure out a way to draw for a living. You take those tests, you're like, what the heck am I going to be? Am I going to be a truck driver or whatever? And I'd always try and scam it, like trying to answer all the questions to make it, figure out like maybe there's some job out there where I can draw every day and I can put food on the table. And who knew? There was design. And I didn't know about that back then. Social media. Love me some social media. If you guys know me, you probably know me from like my blog, my Twitters, Instagrams, Dribbles, Pinterest, Found, and all this stuff. And it's so great for like Dribble for the feedback, the inspiration that you get off Pinterest and Found and stuff like that, the props that you can give to awesome people that you've never met before on your blog. Lift them up, make them, get them out, get the right people connected so people are getting jobs, they're making money, they're selling posters, whatever. And in my opinion, and it pushes trends so quickly, and it makes the work better. And to me, I think it's the best damn thing that's happened to design since the computer, and before that, the printing press. Music, love me some music, listen to it all the time. If you in another life, it's one of those things you got to go all in. It's like design. If you're in it, you got to be obsessed and just absorbed in it. Another life, I'd probably be I'd be a really bad musician. but I'd work hard at it. Healthy. We like eating healthy foods. We like green stuff. You are what you eat. And I always tell people, I always joke, I'm like, wouldn't it be so nice if in the store it said regular food and pesticide-ridden food, and you just got to make your decision that way. I love making stuff with my hands. I love the controlled chaos of it. I love getting off the computer and making something that's just not, it's not perfect, but it's perfect because it's unique. Separates the artist from the robots, you know. See that fish right there? Caught that thing with my bare hands. And I'm not kidding. I'm not like one of those, I forgot what they call noodling or whatever. Like you can see I got swimming trunks on and stuff like that. It's a long story. It's like it could take the whole presentation. But that was a big day in my life, catching a muskie with my bare hands. Retro video games. Love me some retro video games, man. Like arcade games, all like Super Nintendo, all that good stuff. Got like a happy place in my heart. So come on, guys. Like, you guys play some ping pong? You guys are designers. You got the foosball table or the ping pong table right at the shop. And so at Target every year we have an annual tournament, and it's for United Way. And I've taken home the bronze, I've taken home the silver, but I've never had the gold. I was like limping away from that. My buddy David Schwen made an animated GIF of that and it ended up on the homepage of Found, which is just so stupid. And I love me some badges. And if you guys don't know what a badge is, it's like a type lockup, usually in some sort of shape, symmetrical-ish, usually symmetrical. Everything has its place. There's a lot of, it's not, like there's like the tendency with logos and like the rule, they're always like, distill it down to the simplest forms and get rid of all the extra BS. It's like the opposite. It's like add the personality, like bring it in, make it good. Inspired like by stuff from the 20s and 50s or from then. Why they call badges? I don't know. My buddy Nick used to call them that, so I call them that now. I don't think anybody else does, but we're gonna make it a word, people. So that brings me to badge hunting. And believe me, so badge hunting, this is not gonna be the whole thing. I know you guys are like, oh God, just talk about some Target work. Quit talking about badges. But this won't take the whole time, I promise. There'll be good Target stuff at the end. So how come every designer in America is obsessed with vintage design? Because modern day Americans crave craftsmanship. Because everything is made on the computer, and so many people don't take the time to make it with their hands or take it off or do something with it, make it unique a little bit. And you look at this old stuff. That's my grandpa on the right side there walking down Hennepin Avenue in Minneapolis. That Sweet Wits sign behind him. You got that, look at that Albert's restaurant sign. I mean, come on. That's custom lettering, custom type, and one of a kind, unique sign. They brought in a whole bunch of people, made this beautiful thing, crafted it, and now it's just like, they just slam it out, like be like some vinyl, like let's make 600 of these and it'll cost a couple $100. Back then it was just like, we're doing it right, and it's gonna take some time. It's craft, people. So, little cage match showdown, right? I know you can't read A or B up there because the gray is so dang light, but the one on the right or the one on the left? Anybody who likes the A, raise your hand. And everybody who didn't raise their hand, I'm going to assume you guys really like drop shadows and like warping effects in Photoshop, which is fine. It's not fine. It's not fine. Same thing. We don't even have to do it, right? Look at that one on the right, man. That's pretty. Little Dairy Queen. And then look at this, like this Argo cornstarch. You look at that on the right. You're walking down the aisle. You're like, I'm going to get my Argo cornstarch. No BS on there. And then if you really want to pick it up and you want to figure out like all the tiny little details, it looks like there's 14.3 kilograms of, that you can do that. But then over there on the right, they're screaming at you every which way. You got the cornstarch, Argo, like 16-ounce, stay fresh packet, recycled, blah, 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 blah. And everything's the exact same size. You don't even know what to look at. And everything has a gradient. Everything's a different color. So let's talk about hunting. I like going to gorgeous places like this. Look at that. That's hot, right? Sexy shops like this with great treasure box logos that look like the store. and then finding some good stuff in there, stuff like this. I love that stuff, man. Look at those illustrations. I could just like sit there and obsess and like talk for like 10 minutes about each of these. Look at all those little loops, man. Like, and the nice thing is like the stuff from back then, not only is it being made by hand, but like look at this stuff. It's just 2-color. Like they had the restriction, and it wasn't because they just wanted to be 2-color. It's because that's what the budget was, man. And you have to figure out how to make it work. And there's so much personality. I mean, look at that. It's a knockout, right? That's great. And drink as if you didn't know you were supposed to drink the damn thing. Come on. Eagles' heads. We like those, right? What designer doesn't want to put eagle's head on everything? You got it. And look at this. You know, like there's so much stuff. It's made with templates now. You go to like Walmart or something, like you walk into that garbage store. I don't know if you guys like that store. I don't like that store. And you're shopping your Walmart, and they like have with their Sam's Club packaging, it's all like templated out, and they make one SKU and then make 18,000 different of these same exact SKUs, right? They all look the same. But you look at this thing. Look, every single piece of type has its own place. It's made custom for this washboard. Look at that number 185, how it's balanced on both sides. You're just like, yes, that's good. And this talk about extra words. Look at that trademark down there. Trademark and new label registered in the U.S. Patent Office. Imitators will be prosecuted. And it's as big as the logo. And look at both sides of it. Like if you look at that one on the right, it has the word mark right there. Trade on the other side. It says trademark already. But it's thrown on there, and nice and big and loud and proud, and nobody's going to mess with that brand. You got more eagles. We got lard packaging that I'd wear on a T-shirt. Love this stuff. And then look at that. It's like instructions on how to change out some quarters. But it's so nice looking, man. I'd put that in my living room. So let's get down to it. Brass tacks, guys. So the beginning. I'm gonna sum up, man, 30 years in one slide. So it's gonna go really fast. Born in Minneapolis. My parents are Mark and Lois Peters. Awesome. My sister, total overachieving badass. 4.0s all the way through. I always looked up to her, like as a driving force. Like, man, I gotta keep up with this awesome sister of mine. She like runs a news station in Sioux Falls, so good. They encouraged my love of drawing, and I was so obsessed with drawing in school that affected my grades. I'd like skip like science class, and I'd go to the drawing class and sit and draw all day, which probably is not a good idea. But who knew? Who knew that one day I'd get to draw for a living, and I was actually working on my career. So I made into college, the College of Visual Arts in St. Paul. I made it there on probation, and put my head down, never looked back. And I started out my career working at 3 small design shops, a little place called Initio, about 30 people, Uno, which was 3 people, and Industrial, which started at 7, and by the time I left there was about 20. And then Industrial got bought up by another agency, so like all these little design firms, did a ton of design, right? And kind of like honed this craft, figured out, how to make something look really pretty. But then I took a risk and took a gig at BBDO Minneapolis. And BBDO, like worldwide, is the most awarded ad agency in the world. And they're an ad shop. Like they make, bring me your problem. I'm gonna give you 3 print ads and a TV spot every time, baby. Maybe some gorilla. And they aren't always like necessarily like this, but I mean that was like kind of the tendency. And I knew I'd done like some print work in the past, like print ad advertising, but it was usually like part of like some giant system. You did the logo and the brochure and the catalog, and like make sure you throw in some print ads. Why not? And it was just like you'd lay them out and it'd be like 6-word headline. Send it off to the writer the day before it had to get sent to the client. You're like, hey, I need 18 characters here, fill in the blanks, and hopefully it looks good. It'll look good. But this is the first time I was working on site with writers, basically like get locked in a room for like a week, fill walls with Sharpie marker sketches, and best idea wins. And I need to learn how to do that. I didn't go to school for advertising, and I never made a broadcast spot in my life. And so I bought some books on. I scammed them into giving me the job. I'm like, yeah, I can do this, no problem, right? and I didn't know what I was doing, so I bought some books, and I got the job, and learned on the job, and it was really fun, and made some ads for spam, freaking spam, guys, right? Awesome. And it's a pretty cool brand, actually, because it's not afraid to make fun of itself. And so for this stuff, the goal of it was to say basically a spam burger hamburger wasn't the only kind of way to have spam, right? You could also have it with your mac and cheese and your eggs, and how about a spam LT? So the tomato's getting pretty pumped there. And so I made this next spot. It's part of the same campaign. Made it with Like a House out of Portland.
Egg. Egg.
Here.
Egg.
Here.
Egg.
Here.
Wake up your eggs with great tasting spam.
More fun ideas at spam.com.
So it was like super fun. I remember when we pitched that, I'm like, there's no way this is happening. And they bought it, and I'm like, there's no way this is going to actually get produced. And then to this day, I'm still kind of shocked we were able to make that. So Jennie-O Turkey, this is like one of the largest campaigns I worked on there. More meat, yeah, because people like meat, right? Come on now. And the whole idea was to make people make the switch from like beef or pork or chicken to turkey. And because it's slightly healthier, right? A little less fat. And so we took this old fast food place that was in LA, and we converted it to a Jennie-O turkey store, and decided to test the public to see if they like turkey burgers instead, because they're so much healthier and delicious.
Here's a question. Is the world hungry for a better burger? We wanted to find out. So on September 2nd, we took over a restaurant for just one day. After some minor redecorating, we made lunch for the neighbors. Thousands of turkey burgers. On us. See, at Jennie-O, we believe people deserve a burger that's as lean as it is delicious.
This feels light, it's very flavorful.
It's really good.
I wasn't sure what it'd be like. These are great.
He loves the turkey burgers.
I'm really surprised. It's very good.
I'm a hamburger guy, and it really changed my mind.
One of the best burgers I've had in a while.
Looks like the world is hungry for a better burger. Make the switch. Look for Jennie-O at a store near you.
You see, I got to work a gigantic badge into that thing. It was huge. So working at BBDL, you like this great slide I have up right now. Working at BBDL, ad agencies, man, you work a lot of hours. I was working, 60, 65-hour weeks on that, like designed that whole store in a couple of weeks. It was just really, really intense. And then back up a couple months before that, September 5th, 2009, right before that Jennie-O shoot. It was my wife's 26th birthday. We were having friends and family over, eating good food, and their kids are playing in the yard, and we're possibly expecting our own, and we were going to take the test the next day because, scientifically, it wouldn't have been accurate whatsoever taking it at that point, but I still, didn't care. I was just like, Maria, you got to take the test. I was, bugging her all day long. Really wanted to find out if, because we never had any kids at that point. I mean, she's only 26, man. And so, anyhow, that night, we had most of our friends over. And after they were taken off, and it was just a couple of us left, it was just us and another couple hanging out underneath the stars, having a fire in the, one of those, it was bought at Target, fire pits that you'd have. And it was just getting pretty late, and two gentlemen in jackets, gloves, and bandanas entered the yard, and they demanded our money. And, these days, I don't carry cash on me, I carry plastic, and who the heck does, right? Everybody has square readers or whatever. And my wife put up an argument with these guys, and one of the gentlemen put a gun to her head. And Like it was her birthday. I mean, and there's other stuff too, but it was like basically it was like her birthday. Guy's putting her gun to her head. She's probably pregnant, and is late, and it's just it was a bad combination of things, and I overreacted, and I attacked the guy closest to me, and just not knowing what to do. And so this is a blog post my wife made on my blog the next day. It says, "I know you usually visit Allan's blog for beautiful design inspiration, but today Allan needs your help. Early this morning, my husband Allan was a victim of a shooting and is in need of your prayers. Please keep him in your thoughts. The bullet damaged my liver and damaged my appendix, both my large and small intestine and my gallbladder, and the worst part, 2 major arteries." If you see like how it's over there on the left side, the bullet went between 2 ribs, and it's still in me. It's right here. I can actually feel it. I was open up for 2 days while they stapled and sewed me back up. And afterwards, the doctors told me it was a complete miracle I was still alive. They said if the bullet had hit a rib, that it would have splintered, and I'd be dead for sure. They said and it went between 2 of them. They said if I hadn't been working out and been really healthy, I would have bled to death for sure, because I lost half the blood in my body. And then on top of that, the fact that I was shot and I turned, and I chased these guys out of the yard screaming at them, just to keep them away from my friends and family. And it was like a while before I kind of came back, collapsed, and they had to call the ambulance. But the fact that they didn't turn around and shoot me, it must have been, the gun must have jammed. They never found the bullet casing or anything like that. So it's like, how many things can happen all at the same time before it's that's just not like a normal thing. That's God's doing,
Whoa. Look at that. Video of the painted room. And who's over in the triangle? Who's in the triangle in the video of the painted room? I know who that is. And who's in her belly? I know that's Matthew.
Matthew.
We just found out today.
My painted belly.
We found out that your belly is a boy. I love you, man.
I know he wanted me to be around to raise my children, and this experience, it changed the way I think about everything, and it helped me realize how fragile life is and how important faith is to me. So while I was recovering, my buddy Charles Yoel, he runs this poster show called Art Crank, which is awesome. It's all about posters that are about bikes. And he asked me to be in it after I'd been bugging him for 3 years. And this is the poster I made, not knowing if we're going to have a boy or a girl yet. And on the bottom left it says, "Dedicated to our baby to be," with a little couple of bikes thinking about having a trike, right? And then on May 29th, 2010, my son Matthew was born. And in complete, total design nerd fashion, I made a 55-word badge with tons of bonus words in there, man. Top and bottom, man. There's a lot of stuff extra. And I was letterpressed my buddy Kent at Nomadic Press in St. Paul. And that guy's a craftsman. Beautiful job. So back to Jenny O. I don't know if you guys noticed in the spot, but if you look on the left side there, that's my wife and that's my son Matthew, who were in the dang spot, right? I was actually working so many hours at the time that our idea of a vacation, just because they hadn't seen me that much, was to bring the family on production with me, which is kind of wild, and it's not that cool, especially after the whole shooting. And then I got a call from these guys right on the shoot, and they offered me better projects, more of a focus on good design and work-life balance. 40-hour weeks, which in this industry is that like who the hell has that? That's crazy. And it's been amazing, man. So this first project I'm talking, we got to the target work, guys. We made it. You're like, thank goodness, man. It's like, let's get to the bullseye stuff. So this first project I'm going to show you is it's basically the core branding for Target. And it's one of the first projects I got to work on when I was at Target. And it's like the holy grail of Target projects. I grew up seeing, seeing stuff like this, created by PMH out of Minneapolis. And it's just gorgeous stuff, right? And you always, like, I remember seeing that and being like, damn, that's how you do it, right? You know, red, white, and round, really simple. It's guess. They aren't selling any products. It's selling the brand. And they use it in a situation where you got to say target at a glance. You aren't selling anything specifically. It needs to be generic. And basically the kind of creative brief is, you know, show bullseyes, red and white, and show the guest, and like do it in a unique way. And PMH had done it like, God, they've been doing it for like 12, 15 years or something like that. And they'd done it in every iteration you could possibly think of, right? And so me and a bunch of, it was the first time our in-house group had ever done it whatsoever. And I got to throw it on. I was super excited and pitched a whole bunch of directions, but the one they loved was this one. And I remember putting it on the wall. I pinned it up there, and you got this little tiny dude just hanging out on top of a big crop bullseye where you can only see just enough that you can tell it's a bullseye, but it starts to turn into abstract shapes. I remember pinning up there my buddy Aaron Lander, who's also an amazing designer. Check out his work if you don't know him. He's looking and he's like, dude, he's like, I want to be that guy. I want to be sitting there basking in the sun on top of that bullseye. That seems like a really good place. And apparently so did all the people in Target, and it got produced, which is another one of those things where I'm just like, if this gets sold, I'm gonna be like the happiest man on the earth. And it got produced, man. And so it was designed with the rule of fives in mind. I don't know if you guys know about that, but basically it's a good poster should work at 50 feet, 5 feet and 5 inches. And so this one you're driving past on, it was in the creative brief specifically, like make sure it looks good if you're driving past a Target on the freeway or something like that you can tell it's Target. So at a glance, from the top, on the left one there, you're like, yeah, I get it, it's a bullseye. You get up 5 feet away, you're like, hey, there's a person on it, and they're rocking out on a guitar. That's weird. That's kind of awesome. And then you get up super close, and you're like, man, look at that awesome shot. They must have spent a ton of money on that photo shoot. Looks good. Good color pops, right? And so these are on the exterior of most of our stores and headquarters. And then in a few unique locations within the cities, they'd have like these custom ones. And then in some of them, the custom ones would lend themselves to doing something really unique for the media placement, like this one where it looks like they're biking down. You're going on an escalator and there's people biking down the hill at the same time. It's kind of fun. Or like this one, I think it looks like the guy's climbing the wall and it's a life-size dude. And at first glance, you're like, whoa, is there some dude climbing the wall right there? And then you're like, hold up, is that damn Allan Peters scamming me again? So we made like 60 varieties of these shots. And here's some behind the scenes. So 10 days, 44 shots, 86 models, and 5 dogs. And dogs, man, dogs are crazy to shoot. Like you need to bring in some bonus dogs just in case, because it's not like you can be like, hey, do this, and the dog's gonna do it right away. So we created these custom convex and concave ramps. So, because like at first glance, you're like, easy, right? Just throw some person on a bullseye. Man, how easy is that gonna be to shoot that? Like, you're gonna be clipping them out anyways. But of course, I overly complicate it. I'm like, we're gonna need these custom ramps made so that their feet are at the right angles and the gravity is just right, so it looks like they're actually standing on the bullseye. 86 models require a heck of a lot of clothing and a ton of pre-planning, like casting all those people, getting all the right clothes, sourcing all the right props, getting everything the right color, making sure the colors look together. You're shooting 4 people at once, making sure it's a nice palette. You're shooting 4 bikes together, making sure the colors look right together. Hey, I'm shooting a shot for a Hawaiian Target store. I think I need a old Woody with real wood sides. Why wouldn't you, right? It's awesome. Pogo sticks, nerds on the left, models on the right. And so the best part, like this one, like this is my favorite one that this one went through. Like head spin on the R-ball, right? So it's dumb and awesome at the same time. But the best part about shooting a head spinner is like being in New York and getting to audition the best break dancers in all of New York. And I know they're not called a head spinner, but like what else are you gonna call them, right? So this guy comes in, right? And he does his thing, and he's doing his head spins and all this, and we're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're doing that. Like, this is great. Like, you're so good at it. And he's like, yeah, I just, I got second place in this, whatever kind of competition they have. I don't even know what it's called, like breakdown, breakout, or, whatever. And we're like, well, what the heck did the guy in first place do to win? He's like, He's like, so check this. He's doing a head spin. And mid-head spin, he unzips his coat, takes it off, and throws it. Like, you gotta be kidding me. That's crazy, right? And this is the next dude who comes in. Check this out.
Woo! Wow. Shoot. Oh my God. Holy shnikes. Oh my God. He's doing it! He did it! Amazing. Well done.
That's the best slide in the whole presentation right there, right? That tops it all. So, I mean, it's downhill from here, guys. They flew us back out to shoot a holiday version of it. So just to keep it simple, shot the people on a white bullseye, so it looked like snow with like a little bit of texture. And then just basically reversed out the colors, which is really fun. We lived in LA Live, where they do the Grammys in LA, and then look at that like gigantic one. I like doing posters, man. It's cool to see a poster that's like whatever, how many stories that is tall, what is it, like 20 or something. I was like, whoa. My next project I did at Target was for summer 2012, and the tagline was "Have a big honkin' summer," which is kind of like saying the F word, but okay at Target, right? And the way we paid it off was these big icons of summer. So in this case, 8-foot diameter beach balls. And you can kind of tell the scale here. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell, but I might have snuck one home. I did that the first time, and my wife's like, "Don't ever do that again." I'm like, listen, I know, but could you just shoot a video of me doing it one more time? It'll be the last time, I promise. And my buddy Kevin's wife on Instagram there, she goes, "That looks like a skull fracture waiting to happen," which it probably was. I mean, especially like survive a shooting, and then you're like, well, let's go almost kill ourselves on a giant beach ball. Here are a few other in-store examples of that stuff. So it works really good. Have a big honkin' summer. You got these big icons. You know, usually you walk into Target and it's like, "Happy Summer Extravaganza," or whatever, over the front door. But to switch it up, kind of mix it up, because like research showed that mom or target audience or whatever, she wasn't really noticing that anymore. So we threw these giant scoop balls over the checkout lanes, and then on the doors, kind of hit them right. Like, they'd never done anything like this before. So it's like these interactive doors that you walk through and like, hey, it splits open, right? That's fun. You're like, oh, I like that, right? Croquet, and it goes through. But here's the thing about this one. Pretty cool in concept, looked really cool, but like until it was installed, the ball goes almost through, and like, then it's like, burp, burp, burp. Okay, it comes back. And it's like, almost, like, maybe next time. And so these are, like, they're so big, you see that seam down the middle, man, it took like, they just don't even make anything that could print. Maybe Mama Sauce could print it that big. I don't know. So sunglasses, gigantic wieners. I don't know. And so you're like, okay, this is working good in store, big honkin' summer, but you throw it onto an 8.5 by 11 ad, right? Like, how does it seem big anymore? It's just a regular sized hot dog. And so the solution we came up with was to throw them in these little shopping carts. So you're like, hey, it's delivering it right to the store, and it's like, it kind of, without saying it, says Target has everything you need for an awesome summer. Got these nice pops of color. I worked for this dude, Luis Fitch, at Uno, and he told me, he was like, I sell color to people who are scared of color. If they had it their way, everything would be black and white and gray. And he's like, I like yellows and cyans and magentas and just bright pops of colors. And that just kind of stuck with me. I like bright colors too, and I keep that in a lot of my work. So we're making this stuff, we're concepting, broadcast, and like make this gigantic campaign. And then our account partner, they call them BCMs, was like, hey, listen, we have an accounting error. We realize we only have half the money we thought we're going to have. So we made a deal with Redcard, and we got to integrate Redcard on a whole bunch of stuff, right? And I know you guys are like, oh, Redcard, but I'm telling you, Red card's something to be excited about. It's 5% off today and every day. It's not just a one-time thing, guys. So I encourage you to all get red cards. So it works pretty good, right? Big old giant savings in that shopping cart, and got to these little 10-second cinema spots. Plus free shipping online. So that's a deal, man. So for the broadcast, we're trying to like, how can we show the whole summer line and line of like clothing and like products and stuff like that, and show it in like 1 minute. And so we had this idea of doing, like these old like 50s beach tents, almost make it like a clown car type thing, where it's just like things, just like everything you need for summer just keeps barreling out of this thing, like it has a bottomless, like just stuff is just like coming out and coming out and coming out, right? And so here's how that turned out. You guys noticed there's a great deal on a red card in the back. So these two words you aren't used to seeing together, right? Target, Zamboni. You're like, actually down here you guys are probably like, what the hell is a Zamboni? So just in case for some reason there's anybody in here who has no idea what a Zamboni is, these things come out on the ice during the different periods in hockey, and they clean the ice off, get all the blade scrapes and stuff off, and make it look pretty again. And usually there's one functional one that's like really cleaning the ice, and there's like 2 or 3 other ones that are like, sponsored ones that just come out there and drive around so that people are hanging out in between periods, drinking their beers or whatever, and be like, hey, that's a good idea, should have some Bud Light. So Target has one though, and Target has this really cool one that on the top there, that green part kind of sticking up over the top, is a booth like you'd have in a restaurant, and those are stairs coming up the back, so you can win, you can text in and you can win a chance in between periods to go ride on this thing and see like the player's perspective looking up. You're like, that's kind of different and neat, right? I'd like never heard anything like this. So like, hey, can you reskin it? Can you come up with some sort of vinyl graphics for the outside? And me and John Ba and Andy Tiemann, we're just sitting down there concepting a ton of ideas out. And like one of the first ones, I was like, I had like this pretty good idea, but like keep doing more. I always like trying to beat it and get a better one. And we had just like this huge pile of them. And when I started comping them up, I mocked up that first one. And I was like, oh, that's so dumb, right? Like, look at those tiny people in a big basket. How funny would that be? And I showed it around, and they're like, that's it. We gotta make this thing, right? And the nice thing is it hits the brief perfectly. It was basically like from the nosebleeds, can you tell it's recognizably Target? I mean, look at those other ones. It's hard to tell, like because the logos get so small. But that Target one, the cool thing about Target is really simple, beautiful bullseye, right? But also the basket, the cart, the dog, all those things are so iconic. They almost like become logos in themselves. So it's like having a gigantic logo on in the middle of the rink there. And they liked it so much, even though we only pitched one, they liked it so much they like threw us extra money. We got to make the thing 3D molded, which was super cool. And then painted a high gloss red 186 PMS. And then bring it in and shoot it like a Porsche. And here it is in an actual game. That's another one of those where it's like we came up with the idea and I'm like, that's never gonna happen. If that actually happens, it becomes a reality, I'm gonna just be like, my mind's gonna be blown. And just sitting there watching it drive around at a game, and they drive like super slow. They're like, I was just like smiling ear to ear. Target Design Month. So I was brought in this project a few weeks before I had to launch, and they had the campaign like prior to my involvement. Wasn't very practical. I needed a new approach because it just like didn't make sense. It made sense for like one speaker, but they were having all these different speakers and different types, and so just like, and the art director was like, I got too much stuff going on. They threw me on it, But they'd already sold it through the CMO, like all the way up, like, and Target's like 30,000 people, whatever the heck. Like downtown Minneapolis is it's nuts. Maybe it's like 18,000. I'm probably exaggerating, but it's a lot of people. It's more than I can count on a couple hands. And so they threw me on it. Me and my buddy Adam Hoganson, we came up with this idea of basically the main talk was about failures, like not being afraid to fail so you can get to the final goal. Like just like not being afraid to get your hands dirty and just completely like beat your head into the ground over and over and over and over and over again. And so idea like distilled down, like you've seen a billion times before, light bulb, right? So like how can you do that in a new, unique way? And so failure to succeed, we got these crushed light bulbs, and this is the sketches, the launch, like that we sold through. And they're kind of like out of time. They're like, yes, let's just go make it. Hopefully it looks somewhat like your sketches. And the cool thing about working at Target is they have tons of resources. I mean, it's a big company. So like all the 3D type, we have multiple 3D printers over in our like prototyping department where we make products and stuff like that. The letters were painted by our prop department. Got to shoot it all. We have a photo, whole big photo studio that's right next to our studio, where they shoot all the .com stuff, and if we have something we got to shoot, we can work with them, get it shot really quickly for really cheap without having to go to like we still shoot like a lot of big campaigns, like we shoot all that in different studios all over the country, a lot of them in New York and LA based off of where talent is. But if you're just like, I'm shooting some type and busting some light bulbs, you shoot it next door, right? And this whole thing's like no budget, right? All the styling was done by myself and Adam Hoganson, just getting a little bloody or whatever, trying to wear some gloves, be safe. You see the eyewear, right? Got to protect those eyeballs. And then running simultaneously was this a show called The Curative, and it was all Target employees that made art on the side in addition to their business roles. And they just did it for fun and were had really unique talents and stuff like that. And so this is going to be during Design Month. So we kept it kind of consistent, but threw in this paint instead of the crushed glass. I got nerded out, got my Willy Wonka Oompa Loompa outfit on there. And it's so fun, just like you work on something for a little while, and you're on the computer or whatever, and then just to take it and make it real and get your hands dirty and splatter paint and just make a huge mess. Look at that big heaping pile of paint. Like right there, it looks so gross. You're like, oh, I don't know about this project, dude. But we shot it along the way. We got the good stuff in there, right? And so here's some of the finals. It's like fun seeing the way that the type wraps around that light bulb and the randomness of the crushed glass. The stuff you can't get if you made it on the machine, right? You guys would be amazed how difficult it is kerning type with crushed glass between it. And so here's that whole part of the campaign with the posters. And with every low-budget campaign, you got to have some buttons in there. Come on, guys. You guys know about buttons. That's like the solution to every student campaign. We made buttons. Got some bust and bulbs notebooks. I actually wrote that headline for like I'm finally getting halfway decent at writing. Even though I skipped all those classes in high school, it's starting to come. Got some CMYK pencils. Why not? And then here's how the curative stuff turned out. A nice splattered paint. It's kind of fun, and you can see we shot along the way. It's kind of fun just seeing the way that paint's bulging out. It's kind of neat. And they also had some storefronts, and Target's, the one thing about it's retail, but you don't ever get to do store windows, man. And dude, I love me some store windows. I always wanted to do some. And so I did some 3D type to match it, but then we also did these, same thing, low budget, right? So we have a prop department. We save everything from every photo shoot, every commercial we've ever done. And they have the last scene of Indiana Jones and the last, or not the last crusade, the first one, Raiders of the Lost Ark, where they have it's almost like a Home Depot, and it just goes on forever, down to the end of time. And it's just everything, all color coded. You need a TV, they're what make and model, And so the way this worked out is they have video work, they had fine art, and there was fashion in the show. So we just tried to kind of define it and distill it down and make it match the rest of the campaign. Pour some paint over the top of it. It's pretty fun stuff. So you guys know I love me some social media, right? I already talked about that, right? So I got to work on Canada Social. It was like one of the projects at Target last year. Worked on it for about 5 or 6 months, and it's nice because there's no defined rules. Yeah, like nobody does it right. At least people do it pretty good, but it's still there's not like books on it. Like here's how to do it. At least the ones that are like that make any sense. And so this first campaign, I'm gonna tell you a little story. Now the spot I'm gonna show you, I didn't do this. It was done by a Canadian agency, but it's part of the story. So soak it in.
It's a beautiful day in my neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you, oh, would you be mine? It's a neighborly day in the beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty. Would you, oh, would you be mine? So let's make the most of this beautiful day. If we're together, we might as well say, would you, oh, won't you be my neighbor?
It's like pretty, right? Let me, and then the music for that, like remixing that Mr. Rogers song. It's such a good idea, I love that. So that had just launched, we're just going into Canada, just starting to open up stores in a few different cities. And a lot of the talk was all their stores, since they were like launching these soft launches where they only have like half the products, there's a lot of negative talk on social media. So that had just launched. And then at the same time, I just done this blog post on, I don't know if you guys know about Lab Partners out of San Francisco, but they're amazing illustrators. Ryan Meese and his wife Sarah. And Ryan had done these ones for JetBlue. It was for a pitch through Goodby. And they never got produced, but he had posted them on his blog, and I was just like, whoa, when I saw them, it like hit me with a ton of bricks. I was just like, this is so good. Like you know, you see that kind of stuff where you see it and you're like, I will never do something that good, like ever, but I want to someday. And so I'm taking a shower the next day, and of course, like being an obsessed designer, I'm thinking about posters and Target while I'm showering. And and I was like, let's combine these things, let's figure out a way to put it together. So at 6 a.m. had a shower idea. 12 p.m. over my lunch break, like between other projects and stuff, built a deck. Already had a meeting with the social team at 2:30, pitched it in addition to the other stuff that we were talking about, and got approval in the meeting. They got 4 p.m. They had the budget approved. It was like no brief whatsoever. And 10 a.m. the next morning, I was on the phone with Lab Partners. Just like dream come true. I was like, this is crazy. This is crazy. And so social media, but you don't want to yell at somebody. Like if you just made a travel poster and posted it up there, like, hey, come on over, it's Target in Vancouver. People they'd blow it off. But what you got to do is like create that conversation, some sort of engagement, something that makes it either feel ownable to them or give them something. And so in this case, the way it kind of worked was it was like this guessing game, kind of like a reverse Where's Waldo. So we're launching in Winnipeg in this situation, and this one went up in the morning, like bright and early, and it's like, where's Bullseye now? And then around noon, ask the same kind of question, but it reveals a little bit more of the image. It pulls out, and people are making their guesses. Some people are guessing right who are like from there and know like the details of that specific iconic bridge. And a lot of people were just like guessing their cities. And it was great to see that conversation change from these negative things to people like getting pumped about like, yeah, start coming to my city. And then at the end of the day, oh, look at that thing. Come on now. So good, man. Ryan Meese, man, is such a talent. And I'll show you a few of the finals. So Calgary, howdy Calgary. Calgary's like a cow town. Charlottetown, Edmonton, Fredericton, Halifax, Ottawa, Quebec City. Anybody here from Saskatoon? So Saskatoon, man, no offense if for some reason it's online somewhere and somebody's like, I'm from Saskatoon. There's nothing iconic about Saskatoon. And so my writer partner and I are doing like tons of research trying to find like some sort of iconic geographical something or other. And just like not finding anything. And we're like, God, there's this bridge, but it's pretty plain. And when I was, I was talking about fishing earlier. When I was a little kid growing up, and even into college, my dad and I would always go fishing every year. And it was always an important time to me, spending that time with him and getting a chance to get away. And we'd one of the unique things was about going up further north, is seeing the Northern Lights. And I'd been thinking about that because we're working on Canada, and it always makes me think of fishing. And I was like, what about Northern Lights? And I love the way it turned out. St. John's, pirate ships, come on now. People like pirate ships, and you guys already saw that one. So they really liked it, right? They're like, that's good stuff, man. Like keep coming, that we love that there was no brief, and like you guys just like hit it out of the park. Like, we want more of this, come on, give us more ideas, we'll give you more money, just give me something. And so came up with this idea. So like, okay, so Bullseye, he's traveling around to all these different cities and stuff like that, right? But now he's settling in, he's new to this city. Like, what should he do? What should he do for the weekend, right? So we did these little questions that would go out and they'd be geo-targeted, like specifically to, like this one would go to Montreal and it says, hey, what are some fun things to do outside this summer? And it's the dog's talking. He's like, oh, I want to get out and get around, spend the weekend having some fun. I'm a dog. I don't want to sit inside the whole time. And so tons of comments come rolling in. We'd pick a couple of them and illustrate them. So in this case, he's spent the weekend going to Mont Royal, checking out the sights. Or like also there, smoked meat bagels are a big dang deal. And it's really unique to their region. It's a very special thing. So like from here, you'd probably be like, smoked meat bagels, what the heck? But like to them, they're probably like, yeah, Target knows me. I'm gonna go get a red card. Maybe. That's like my dream. So, like, look at all these, man. And we did them for all over the whole country. Grand Prix, and this one's in French, I can't even pronounce it. Air shows, Oxford Express, Agra Fair, sunsets by the seafront of Rimouski, watching the Oceanic, that's like their special team, that's like their number one players' numbers. So it'd be like going very specifically, they'd just be like, yeah. And look at that whale, man. That thing's pretty, right? I love working with a good illustrator. Like, I love to illustrate myself, but hey, if I can hire somebody that's way the hell better than me, let's do it. So, speaking of that, hiring some talented people that specialize at something. You guys might know about Daniel Evans. I don't know if you ever heard of this girl. She was up here like a couple hours ago, right? So Target Canada and social media, we're on social media still, they're having a hard time letting people know that they had more than like designer partnerships and home products. And so we're like, hey, we got grocery stuff too, right? So we're like, when we're in this meeting, we're talking about it, and it wasn't like a kickoff or anything. It just came up like at the end of a meeting. They're kind of listing off some of the problems they're having in Canada. And I came across this girl's work, Daniel Evans, and I was like, bing, like that would be perfect, right? She makes headlines out of food. Let's and I sent it to my writer partner. I'm like, this is awesome, and I'm like, should we do this? And he sends me back 10 headlines, like done, like there was no question about it. He was already like working on the project, and so we pitched it, and it's got approved. They loved it, and they loved it so much. One of the VPs was like, this is so cool. Like, how does she do that? Like, does she just like how long does it take her to make it? Like, I want to know more about this, And she's like our target market, and it's perfect. They're like, let's do a documentary, and we don't have a ton of money, but so here's the story, Peters. Like, you're gonna have to figure. I'd never done a documentary before, man. Come on, I'm a designer. I skipped half the classes in high school. And so I had to get to know Danielle really well, ask her a ton of questions, and find out about like her process. And one of the really unique things about what she does is she said she was always a perfectionist growing up, had a hard time finding like ending to a project. And with this, when she was all done with it, she could like eat it, right? She just like make some food or something, or make some coffee in this case, right? And so it didn't matter if she made a mistake or messed up whatsoever. She could just, clear it off. And so here, I'll show you this little video. It's not super long. When I say documentary, you're like, geez, it's gonna be like half an hour, right? It's like a minute and a half. It's good. It's Daniel Evans. Come on.
I love crafting something, making it friendly and warm, and really just imbuing life into this food stuff. My name is Daniel Evans, and I'm a letterer. I decided to start lettering with food because I realized good design used a multi-sensory experience to convey messages. When I throw something down on the cutting board, it piles up and I see the Bezier curve in it, and so I just start moving things and working. I feel like the medium is really pushing what direction I'm moving, and I'm just kind of being subservient to it. Having it all over the place, getting it on my clothes. I mean, it's fun to just get into something with your hands and make something beautiful happen. There's something really exciting about working really hard on something and just obliterating it at the end. It's so much fun. Whatever you've done, it's not permanent. You can constantly make something better. You have the ability to try new things and be an individual. I've deeply enjoyed partnering with Target. It's been a great journey. Imperfection's cool. It's handmade.
Target's old, man. 50-year anniversary. But it's kind of like, it's like such a modern brand. Like, how do you do that? How do you take the old and the new and bring them together? And so a few of the concepts I had for this thing. This one, it's like old and new. It's like, what is the old cart and the new cart? It's mashed up together, that old pill bottle, the new pill bottle. Pitched a couple of other ideas. This one on the left, taking like this old, beautiful, beautiful packaging and ads and stuff like that, all hand-done type. And finding all those archives, scanning them in, you know, updating the colors, getting like nice primary pop colors, you know, from the times, but then shooting brand new, high fashion stuff, hard shadow against it, like Missoni and Liberty of London. And then that stuff on the right, like the first couple of years Target was around, there was no budget to shoot photography, so they did all illustration back then. And like all their like the Ford circular, I had no idea what that was until I worked at Target, but it's like the weekly ad or whatever that you get in the paper. All those were like hand drawn. And so like taking a bunch of these beautiful old illustrations, and then they're like black and white and add a ton of color to them, and halftones, adding these big bullseyes and getting that like Roy Lichtenstein, like pop art kind of feel to it. And the direction they went with was this one, which I thought was really fun, just like in that old and new mashup, and look at that T, man. Like, see, look how it like overlaps a little bit, but man, love me some custom type, right? It's gorgeous. And so here, I'll show you. This is the campaign in context, so you kind of know what it was. It was these like street window graphics on the headquarters, and they wrapped the whole way around. There were like 15 of them or something like that. And with all of them, you know, this is another one of those fun projects where it's not like you have to have this specific outfit on the person because we're trying to sell this pair of shorts or something like that. You're just like, pick whatever you want. And so I got to make nice pops of color. If I wanted to shift something in post, be like, hey, I want that to be a magenta purse. It wasn't a big deal. Look at that thing, anniversary sale, man. That type's hot. And that old Target logo, look, it's in a badge. Come on, right? I like badges. Having jamborees, June jamborees, and value sales, and look at that haircut, like a Dairy Queen ice cream cone, man. It's cool. And so they really like that, and they're like, hey, we're having this big party with all these celebs in New York. Could you do some invites for it? And of course, you know, like if you're sending something like Mariah Carey or something, you can't just send like some little tiny card, man. You gotta do it upright. Die cuts, letterpress coasters, bricks that are sandblasted and engraved from the first store of Target like ever made. You know, like you gotta have that stuff, right? And Mariah Carey, man, she ain't going to something that doesn't have a brick with it. Same colors, nice fonts and stuff. Who doesn't like some future bold? Draplin does. I do too. And get some nice overprinting right there. It's nice, man. I love me some letterpress. Kent, Nomadic Press, again, love that guy. And it's like, that guy, Kent, man, it's like just him. Nobody else works for him. So like, you know you're getting the specialist on it every single time. And you're like, why would you have, you know, these beer coasters for an anniversary party? I'm like, no, guys, they're champagne coasters, obviously. And you got Alicia Keys there, Shaun White, just kicking out some letterpress stuff on the left. Fun project. So, to kind of wrap this up, I got a few freelance stories, shorties. But while I'm working at BBDO and while I was working at Target, I got to work on some fun stuff at the side. And it's basically like when my kids got to bed, and it would be something I wanted to do that I was really passionate about and really excited about. So that can mean anything from a client project to, we have another beautiful little baby Luke, born on September 10th, and of course, had to make another 5 billion word Mexico 68 Olympics inspired birth announcement, right? With custom typography that took 3 weeks. But it was fun, right? And so I got a call from these guys. They're like, hey, we're working on this perfect issue. We saw this birth announcement you did. We love the type. And it's about perfection in sports. Can you give us some ideas for it? I was like, what about a trophy? What about a flexing cartoon arm, lifting weights? Or inspired by this one with that little R with its little foot kicking up? What about this? I'm like, this has got to work, right? And it has a similar type. It has all these different sports integrated. I'm like, that's got to be perfect. That's what they want, right? Nope. They didn't want any of that. They're like, none of that. But the creative director's like, I had this brilliant idea. I love the type you made for this. And we got this issue coming out called the music issue. And it reminds me of a vinyl record. Could you do a custom font for that and experiment with making the O's perfect circles and making it look more like a record? And he was expecting one, and I sent back 7 variations, right? Because, I'm not gonna fail again. This is ESPN. Come on, guys, can't mess this thing up. And they picked 2 of them, and they're like, we're gonna pay you double. I'm like, yes. That's awesome. And so that's how it turned out. Pretty fun stuff, making fonts. They're like, hey, we need a big question mark with more lines in it. Can you do that? We'll pay you more money. I said, yes. Yes, I can. And then got the issue with Dr. Dre and LeBron with my font. I was like, what? That's awesome. I think that's pretty cool. Here's that big question mark. That's what used on all the initial caps and headlines. Man, it was cool. And seeing my name in there made me super happy. I got a call from these guys. And this was actually when I was working that Jenny O project, working 65-hour weeks and stuff like that. And Maria was pregnant. And I was like, oh, I shouldn't do this, but it's Nike, man. And so it's coming home late, take care of my stuff, then get to work on it. And it's nice thing is it was 3 days, so we needed this thing in 3 freaking days. And they basically gave me this, it's like t-shirt graphics, and the more you do, the better chance you have to make more money because we'll pay you per graphic. And I was like, I'll give you 20, right? Because I don't need to sleep. And so they sent this inspiration. I was like, I like badges. They got badges on these things, right? So make some badges. And so this is what I kicked out in those 3 nights. And I'll keep these nice and brief. Not that you guys don't want to soak in some of the logos, because who doesn't want to look at logos? Griffins with 6.0 tails. But I know time is tight, and you guys are important, so I'll go fast. X logos. Who doesn't like an X logo? Come on, right? I like that one. This one is a fun little ligature. And then this next one is one of those where you get down with it, and you're like, yes, nailed it. You're happy for a week afterwards. You're just kind of prancing around, just yeah. Such a good mood. And this is the last thing. We're almost there, boys and girls. Almost there. Art Crank. You guys like Art Crank? I told you about it. It's about bicycles. It's a poster show. Just got a couple of these things in there, a couple more badges. It started in Minneapolis, and in Minneapolis it's the biggest it gets. And if you look at the bottom left there, this thing gets packed. On the bottom right there, they got food trucks. It's almost as cool as Creative South, let's put it that way. It's a big dang deal in Minneapolis. Look at all those bikes on the top right. We like to bike in Minneapolis. And this guy started it, Charles Yule. Inspiration to me, man, a really great guy. And he's a pretty dedicated guy based off the Art Crank tattoo. He got it on his arm in 2010. I'm totally into it. And so I'll show just a couple of these. 2012, I'd been working on all this Target stuff, really clean, like simple pop art type things, and I was like, I want to make some badges, because I like badges, right? And so I came up with this idea with my dad. We were on vacation. I was like, what if it's a bunch of Minneapolis bike gangs that don't exist, but it's all these different neighborhoods, and I came up with all these, like, and the fun thing about making make-believe logos that aren't real whatsoever is you're like, I got an idea to make a lion's head with like a bike crank, and then you come up with the name afterwards, and you like make sure it's the right amount of characters and fits them perfectly, you know? And if you like it doesn't, you like ask a writer friend or looking at the thesaurus, and you're like, can you give me a, you know, a 6 character? I need to balance this thing out. You can't usually do that at work. So it's nice, man. Calhoun coasters, fixie fellas. You got the Blaisdell Buzzsaw boys. That fun little K&K thing. Snakes. How many times do I get to design snakehead logos at Target? Not that much, so thank goodness for bike gangs. And so my buddy Kevin helped me print this thing. And it's always tricky with overprinting. You don't know what you're going to get. And he had a whole bunch of blue premix and a red mix, and he threw them together one night for me. I worked with this dude, Kevin Hayes, amazing guy, lovely Minneapolis, look him up. And he brought in like full samples, like here's what it's gonna look like with all these different colors. It was so helpful. And that's him on the bottom right. A lot of people, they see that photo, and like when they see me in person, they're like, where are your arm tattoos? I'm like, that's Kevin, that's not me. I did go though, I like help print, I don't have this stuff myself. So here's how that poster turned out. So Minneapolis, right? You know, Minneapolis, it's like Twin Cities. So this year I've been working on one for St. Paul, and it's in process. I don't know if that's the right colors. Still working on it. So this is it, guys. Grand finale, 2013. This is last year. So I like the bike in the summer. You flip the poster over, bus in the winter. Done. Thank you, guys. You made it through 300 slides.